Okay, here we go. This is the first test run of our video PowerPoint lecture series, I guess you can call it. And bear with me because this is my first time doing this. And so we'll work through this. Hopefully I'll get better at it, both with volume and presentation style and make it more interesting with you. As I learn the software, I'll be able to include things, embed videos into the PowerPoint and all sorts of things. So bear with me, and I'll get us there where it's a little bit more interesting for you as you're sitting on the other side of a computer, listening to me as I talk. I hope that it is a great learning tool for you, and one of the things that I'm hoping is uh, that you're able to have a little bit more control over a lecture. So anytime during the lecture you can pause, you can rewind to listen to a segment that didn't make sense to you or a segment that you zoned out on. You can also listen to it a few different times to, if you really wanted to understand concepts a little bit better. So anyways, I really hope this works out for you. Write down any questions that you might have as you go, and we can discuss them in class. Make sure that you pause at any time you need to stretch or take a break, go grab a snack or whatever. That's a very important thing. Just pause the video and come back and play it when you're ready to focus again. And remember to take notes during the video because I will be checking your notes off in class to make sure that you watch this video, and so make sure that you're taking notes during this time. This will cover some of the things we did not cover in chapter 26 today, and then we'll also be covering part of chapter 27. So anyways, here we go. I hope you enjoy, and so here we go. Chapter 26. We already talked about this, but what is an animal? So animal is a few things, has a few distinct characteristics. First, it's multicellular, so it has many cells. It is eukaryotic, and so the cells have a nucleus. The cells also lack cell walls, so plants and fungi have cell walls, but animals do not. Instead, animals only have a cell membrane. And they're also heterotrophs, and so they have to obtain energy they can't make their own energy like plants can. So they're heterotrophs. So that's just a quick reminder of what an animal is, and we'll be referring back to this as we look at a particular animal. You may have didn't think that it was an animal, and as we do a check in this little list, we find out that sure enough it is classified as an animal. Uh, Quickly, animals have following types of tissue, so several different types of tissue. So to remind you what a tissue is, in chapter 1 we learned that a tissue is a group of cells and they perform a similar function. So they do something in the body that is similar, and they sort of work together for that function. So we have epithelial tissue. This tissue covers body surfaces, both inner and outer surfaces. Muscular tissue, and what this muscular tissue does, it has proteins in it that enable the cells to contract, and this serves many purposes for animals, and you can probably list them off yourself, but this includes your ability to eat, escape predators, keep you warm, enables you to blink. I mean, you name it, and muscular tissue is there to help. Connective tissue as well. This is your blood and also bone tissue, and it supports your body and it connects all of the parts of your body. Then nervous tissue, which is very important for animals. Plants do not have nervous tissue, but animals do, and this carries information throughout the animal's body and is very important for responding to stimuli. So we didn't talk about this in class today, but we've talked about that there's over 2 million species on Earth that scientists have described, and scientists estimate that there's between 10 million and 100 million species on Earth. And so of the 2 million species described so far, over half are animals, and then about 1 million of those species are invertebrates, and they're called insects. So the majority of the species described are insects, and they're invertebrates. But just within the animal kingdom, invertebrates make up 95% of all animal species. So that's quite a big number. So we are the minority. Mammals and such are the minority in the animal kingdom. Invertebrates do not have a backbone, and vertebrates do have a backbone. I guess I'll talk about that in the next slide. Invertebrates include sea stars, worms, which are no pictures here, insects, butterflies, jellyfish, you name it, that's invertebrates. Most of what you see around you is invertebrates. And then 5% of the animals are vertebrates, and so all that you see right here, clownfish and poison dart frog and snake and such, these are all vertebrates. They have a backbone, and so that's where the spinal cord is found, and that transmits a signal from the brain all the way down along the body. And so this includes all the other animals: fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Cephalization. So we didn't talk about this today, but this is when animals, they have a concentration of sense organs and nerve cells at the front of their body. And so as animals evolved, they tended to gather nerve tissue and such at the anterior end or the front end. And this enables animals to decide what they should do. And so as they go throughout the world, they're able to take in information, and then they can decide what to do and respond effectively to stimuli. This also allows them to move much faster. So here's a, oops, oh, I already switched over, so oh well. So we'll talk real quickly about sponges. So sponges are things that you might have not thought of as animals. So here's a sponge. You're familiar with a sponge because we dry them out and we put them in our bathrooms and our kitchens and such to wipe things down with. But they're living organisms, they're animals, and they're sessile. They are some of the most ancient organisms, or animals, that is, oops, sorry, animals, and they've been around on Earth for at least the last 540 million years, so for quite some time. So obviously, so one unique characteristic of this animal is that it's attached to the substrate. So it's a sessile organism. We call it a sessile organism. It's attached for its whole adult life to a single spot, to the substrate. And so let's move on here. So this is why they're classified as animals. They're multicellular. Okay, so this structure here, the variety of sponges is quite remarkable and beautiful. If you've ever been snorkeling, you'd see sponges, and they're pretty interesting creatures. But they're multicellular, so this structure has many cells. It's heterotrophic, so they do filter feed, which we'll learn in a second. They do feed that way. They don't have cell walls as we look at their cells, and they contain not too many specialized cells, and we won't go too far in depth with that, but anyways. They do not have a mouth or gut, and they don't have any tissue or organ system. So very simple ancient organisms, where almost plant-like. They're sessile, they're planted in the ground, and but they're feeding, so they're heterotrophic, and there's some special ways that they feed, breathe, reproduce, all sorts of things. Their body plan is asymmetrical. So we talked about how body plans can be radial, they can be bilateral, but sponges are unique in the animal kingdom that they're asymmetrical. They do not have a front or back, left or right. So right here, over here on the side, you see a cross-section of a sponge, and this is where everything happens. So basic functions, feeding, circulation, reproduction, all this stuff happens right in this structure here.